so nice to see so many lovely faces today. I'm here from Creative Scotland. As you heard, my name is Sarah, and I'm very much looking forward to what you have to say about support for the industry and for musicians, but maybe a slightly dry thing to start the day from my point of view, but hopefully it will be helpful. And the slides that I've got here today, the team will send them out to you. So there's going to be a lot of information in here, but try not to be overwhelmed because you can look through it in your own time and there's clickable links in there and you can just digest as you need. Thank you very much. So I'm here from Creative Scotland. If you don't know who we are or what we are the non-departmental public body or part of the Scottish Government who support not just the music sector but also all art forms and creative industries in Scotland. So we do that through financial support, funding, we do that through advocacy and through just kind of general support through organisations like SMIA. We cover a really wide range of creative practice, and we fund individuals, we fund organisations, we fund really chunky, huge venues, and we fund like the smallest, youngest person, including literally a 5-year-old that we funded last year, which was the sweetest thing that I have ever seen. So, the most important thing that you might want to know about is our music team. So I'm actually in the Creative Learning and Young People team at Creative Scotland, but we have specialist art form teams who you could speak to about your ideas or things that you are looking for support for, and they can give you really specific advice. And our lovely music team, there's 5 of them, and each of them have a sort of genre specialism. So I guess most of you here would be most interested to speak to Jamie, because Jamie is kind of pop, rock, indie, underground, hip hop, R&B. He does all the fun things. And then we have Siobhan, who is mainly trad music, trad and folk, and then Claire and Emma, who both cover classical, but Claire also has a specialism in jazz, and Emma's practice is also like community music. So if you ever get in touch with our inquiries team and you just want to speak to someone who is coming from the same perspective as you, they will put you in touch. You don't need to remember all these names, but just it's nice to see their little faces before you get in touch. So one thing that's general advice if you're thinking about applying for funding is just to really think about what is it that you are looking for funding for. It's really helpful to have as clear a plan as possible. So obviously that's like the who would be involved in what you want to do, what is it that you want to do, when will it take place, are there any partners that you're going to have? Are there going to be audiences? Just basically to provide as much information as possible and to really think through all of these things before you apply, because I think one of the most common kind of mistakes that we get, not mistakes, that's not a kind way to say it, but it's just people maybe applying when they haven't ironed out these details, and it's much more helpful for us to make a decision on funding if we know as much as possible about the project. So again, feel free to look through this in your own time. The fund that is probably most relevant to the people in this room is our open fund for individuals. You might have heard that last summer the fund was on pause, but it's back open now. So this is a fund that you can apply to at any time. There are no deadlines for this fund. And you can apply for a grant between £500 and £50,000, and it supports a really specifically defined period of activity. So it can't just be for ongoing, I just want support to be an artist. Sadly, as much as we would love to just provide, bursaries for living, the funding has to be for one specific thing. So that could be you want to do a kind of skills development project, you want support from a mentor, or you want to go to a course to do some training. It could be that you want to put on an event or a concert or a tour, or it could be that you want to record an EP or an album, which is by far one of our most common application types. So it's really competitive. Lots of people have amazing creative music and creative ideas, and they just obviously want funding to be able to make those things happen. So the album side and the recording side of what we do is definitely a busy market. And just, I guess, one thing that's helpful to know about this fund is you don't need to just be a creator and a musician to apply. We also can support young promoters, or we can support producers, sound engineers. So it's not just about the people on stage, it can be about the people making things happen in the background as well. So this is definitely, if you're thinking of applying for funding, this is probably where you're going to be looking at Creative Scotland. I'm going to just breeze through this next bit because it's about organisations, and I doubt that many of you will be running constituted organisations. If you are, then that's very cool. But we do have funds that you can apply to if you are in an organisation. You might have the question, well, I'm not in an organisation, but I am in a band, which I would say you apply to the Open Fund for Individuals. So you can, as the drummer of a band, apply as an individual for your whole band to get funding. So you would do that through the Individuals Fund rather than organisations. We have a specific targeted funding which is for organisations and individuals to run projects with young people. So you might want to start a girls' rock school. You might want to start a ukulele club. You might want to start any kind of well, this event is funded through this funding program. So the Youth Music Initiative is a program of funding which is specifically for young people to engage with high quality music making opportunities. So it's something that, again, maybe if you're a little more established in what you're doing, you actually want to support other young people, and it can be up from birth. 0 to 25 is the typical age range. So again, quite a specific funding stream, but something to think about if that's the stage that you're at and what you do. Another one which is very relevant to the people in this room is that we have funding which is specifically for young people. So we've run a number of funds over the years which are for people to typically access up to £1,000 grants, or if you're a group, up to £3,000 or £5,000. And it's in a way less competitive than applying to the Open Fund because you're not competing against every creative in Scotland. You're just applying with other young people who are also at similar stages in what they're doing. And these grants are then, the decisions are made by other young people. So at the moment, we have a new fund with Moniac Moore, who are a creative writing centre in the Highlands. And they're just, I think yesterday was the deadline for, they're recruiting for the steering group who are going to run the new fund, which will be launching later this year. So keep an eye out, or take my email address or whatever if you would be interested in applying to that fund later this year. I definitely recommend. It's a great way to access a starting amount of funding, because like I said, sometimes the wider funds can be quite competitive. And then just as a kind of indication of the wider things that we do at Creative Scotland, the music team cover, like I said, all genres. They cover from individuals who are just starting out to really established bands or organisations. So there's just a couple of examples there, like the Hip Hop Bursary Scheme that we run in partnership with Sonny Govan and with Up to Standard and 644 Studios. So this is something, again, the deadline just passed yesterday, but something where, again, you can apply for a small amount of money to develop your practice and take that to the next level, whereas something like Made in Scotland is a showcase, which happens at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, and that's for for bands or for acts who are pretty established with the domestic audience, and they're looking to actually maybe engage with people in the rest of the UK or internationally through having a slot at the Fringe. So yeah, it's a really wide spectrum of support that we have for musicians and artists and people working in the music industry. So my number one tip is just get in touch and let us know if you've got any questions, if you've got an idea, if you don't know where it's best to be placed, how best to fund it, because we love speaking to people. We're here today to say hello and to meet everyone. So just please get in touch and tell us what you're interested in doing. That's what we're here to do. And then the rest of my slides just have some resources that you can access. There are copies of the Illustrated Freelancer's Guide at the table there. I would recommend, if you're starting out as someone who wants to become a self-employed musician, there are amazing tips in there about how to navigate all the world of taxes and all the things that are not the fun part of what you do. A Fair Work Guide, which is similar but more for organisations and how to make sure that the practices that are happening in the workplace are safe. And then I've just put together two slides, one of resources at Creative Scotland, things that are on our website, like our newsletters and guided on our funding criteria, etc. And the last one is just a list of organisations or other events like White Days or Resonate or Pitch that would be really helpful to get involved with if, again, like just meeting people I think is the most helpful thing to do, to try and like feel like you belong in the community and feel like you're part of a wider thing, not just on your own doing this thing and chipping away by yourself. So yeah, definitely get linked in with some of these organisations. And yeah, I think that's me on my whistle-stop tour of all of those things. There you go. There's my email address if you need to get in touch.
Yeah, I don't quite know how to follow up on that because that was such a smooth presentation. But my name is Asia and I'm the general manager of an organisation called the Scottish Music Industry Association. So I'm going to give you, again, a bit of a whistle-stop tour about what it is that we do, who we are, and how we can support you in developing a sustainable and long-term career in music in Scotland. So, the Scottish Music Industry Association is here for all of you, no matter where you are in your career, whether you're just starting out, whatever genre you're working in. We exist to support everyone who is working in or aspiring to work in music in Scotland. We're a not-for-profit trade body and membership organisation, and we are lucky enough to be funded by Creative Scotland through their regular funding network at the moment. And it's a free-to-join membership, so anyone here can join, sign up to the SMIA for free today. And I'm going to run through a couple of the benefits and kinds of activities that we do throughout the kind of year-long period of our activity. But we have currently got over 5,500 members that are representing different subsectors of the industry in Scotland. So whether you're an artist, whether you're a promoter, whether you're a producer, whether you want to work at a record label, whether you want to work at distribution, we're here to represent everyone who's working within the industry. That's a nice fun picture, just for fun. So these are, I'm actually gonna, can I swap seats with you so I can see what I'm doing? It's like the very brown. It is. So what does the SMIA do? So the first thing I've got on this list is parliamentary representation. So as a membership body, what we do is listen to our members, so all of you who work in music in Scotland, and we make sure that your voices are heard in Scottish Government and in sort of sector support bodies. So what our role is, you might have seen, we talked about the Open Fund closing briefly last year, and the SMIA led a open letter campaign that was signed by big artists like Lewis Capaldi, Biffy Clyro, and we were making sure that our members, all the way through from the grassroots up to the high-profile artists, were heard in Parliament and in government. The second thing we do is we work in partnership with lots of organisations, such as academic institutions, so we have a partnership with UHI Perth. We also work with music industry organisations such as Off the Record, Wide Days and Resonate, to make sure that you, as the kind of next generation of creatives, are getting the best information and the skills and resources that you need to make those successful careers. We also provide advice, so we are a small but really dedicated team, and we're very, very friendly. So we want to come out to events like this and be in spaces where you can come and ask us any questions that you have about creating career pathways within the industry. Next thing we do is sector support. So we exist as an organisation that supports both individuals and organisations. So a lot of our work is focused on how we can make a better, more sustainable, fairer and diverse music industry here in Scotland. So at the moment, a couple of our projects are, we've got an EDIA advisory group that are currently working with us and our members to co-design an action plan and strategy for the sector as a whole, so that we can make sure that there are more accessible routes into the industry for young people and for creatives across the sector. The other thing that we do is, as an SMIA member, you would have access to our membership section of the website, which is where we bring together a whole host of opportunities from across the sector, whether that's jobs, funding through Creative Scotland or other funding bodies, opportunities to apply for showcases or events, just like at Wide Days, and we bring that all together into one place so that it's a one-stop shop for you to access what's available at the moment, what can you apply to, what's going on. We also curate a selection of resources from across the sector, so whether that's from other trade bodies like the MMF, the Musicians Union, or advice articles by individuals and organisations that will kind of help guide you, because the music industry can be really confusing and there's lots of conflicting information out there, and it can be very difficult to know exactly where to go to get that information. So we've got a resources section of the website where you can just search what the question is that you're looking for, and we'll ping up lots of different resources for you to kind of get stuck into and create your own pathway into the industry. The other thing that we do is we have an insights section of the website, so where we bring together Scottish-specific music industry news and insights and research so that we can keep you up to date as to what's happening in the industry now. It's a rapidly changing sector. You know, there are lots of things that are going on in terms of technological advancements, changes in, you know, how things are working, and we want to make sure that you all have the skills and the information to be able to kind of navigate that successfully. The other things that we do are we run 2 flagship events projects, and one of these is the Scottish Album of the Year Award, which is Scotland's National Music Prize. So it happens every year, and it's an open submissions process. So anyone who has released an album, and we term an album as 6 or more tracks, or up to 30, well, over 30 minutes, within the kind of eligible time period, can submit their album for consideration to the SAY Award. There's no fee for submission, it's an open call, so anyone in here who has released an album over the last year, keep an eye out for the submissions process. And the great thing about the SAY Award is it is a really democratic national conversation, so we invite 100 impartial nominators from the music industry across Scotland to review the albums and consult on them. And then we have a long list of 20 albums, and one of those will always secure a place on the shortlist via a public vote. So we want everyone to be involved. It's a national consultation. Like, music in Scotland is part of our cultural identity, part of the stories of how we live our lives, and it's a really beautiful celebration of all of the output of music in Scotland. Alongside the SAY Award, so the kind of Scottish Album of the Year Award, we run 2 additional prizes, one of which is probably most of interest to people in this room, which is the Sound of Young Scotland. So the Sound of Young Scotland, again, is an open application process, and it's a funding package worth, last year it was worth up to £10,000 for an artist or a band who haven't yet had the opportunity to create their debut album, so haven't yet created something that would be eligible for the SAY Award, but are at that point in their career where making a debut album would really sort of ignite their trajectory. And that is also open, I think we will be opening this year towards the end of July, so do keep an eye out for that. And it's anyone aged 18 to 25. I've got a bit of a, I'm going to stop talking for a minute and actually show you like a highlights video just to kind of pep us up this morning for the SAY Award. So hopefully this will autoplay. Oh, no.
Scottish Album of the Year 2024 winner, Garrod-Prance!
Just giving you a bit of a taste of what the SAY Award is like. And one of the great things about the SAY Award, if you are able to sort of submit your application to Sound of Young Scotland, is we bring together the whole of the music industry from across Scotland, and it's a great kind of networking opportunity, a great opportunity to meet other artists. And you'll see there we were in Stirling in 2024, and we moved the SAY Award around Scotland as well, so there'll be an announcement coming soon about where we'll be next. Oh. Thank you. I thought it was ambitious putting a video in, and it was. The other kind of flagship event that we run at the Scottish Music Industry Association is the SMIA Summit, which is a 2-day conference in September where we look at the music industry in Scotland from a sort of strategic high-level perspective, in looking at kind of thematic concerns that everyone here working in the sector has, whether that's geographical barriers and kind of centralisation of the music industry in the Central Belt, whether that's current concerns around EDIA and access in venues, whether that is looking at how we can create a more sustainable industry where the IP is retained in Scotland. We ran this last year and it was really, really successful, and so I would encourage you all to kind of sign up. It's again free to attend, so it gives you a really good picture of where the kind of sector is as a whole and where you and your career can kind of fit into developing that. That's the end of my presentation. I've popped a contact email up here as well, and just a reminder of my